From hygienist to health coach, from the Dominican to New York, Emily Marino has a powerful story of how she has a second career that is so satisfying and meaningful, and how she is really helping perimenopausal women at a profound level. And I can't wait for you to hear how did she go from here to there, and a crazy, quirky opportunity for a third career that popped in there, but also added another layer of meaning. So, with all that said, welcome, Emily.
Hi, Dr. Shaunna. Thank you for having me.
Well, you are such a bright light. Your energy just exudes. I've had the pleasure of meeting you in person a few times, and a lot of people I just know virtually. And you have just this loving heart, this kindness, but you have a really powerful story that has many layers. I know we're not going to peel all of them today, but let's peel some of them and dive in and say, what was life like before? Tell us a little bit about how you grew up and what your life was like there, and bring us right up to the point of, becoming a health coach. And tell us, like, how much did health factor into your life in those early years?
Well, I grew up in the Dominican Republic. I grew up in a farm. So I was exposed to all the nature. I stood outside all day. My snacks were from the tree. I literally went and grabbed an apple, sorry, an orange, not an apple, an orange from the tree, and picked all the fruits, the cherries, everything, the mangoes, all that, star fruits, all from the tree. That was my snack. I didn't have any processed food. We didn't buy any processed food. Our juice were homemade. Any sweets were homemade. So I grew up very holistic in terms of like being exposed to nature, staying outside all day long, um, and just coming in to sleep. Like, I was always exposed to the sunshine. Then at the age of 9, I moved to New York City. New York City, totally different. I sit in an apartment. Didn't get outside as much. I was exposed to all these different food that was like all packaged stuff I didn't even know. I didn't grow up around that. I didn't understand how people consider this stuff food. I'm like, what? What is this? But tasted good, but it was so bad for you, you know.
Yeah.
So I grew up with my grandparents, and my great grandfather lived with us. He was 112. Um,
112. Wow. That's a testament, right? That's a clue. Success leaves clues. Yes.
and he had all his mental capacity. These conversations that we're having together, Dr. Shauna, he could have had with you. He's just that kind of a person. He had it all together. So, nobody that I knew took medication or anything like that.
Oh, so that is quite a stark contrast. And so it's really nice though to have at the root, we always talk about root cause and that, but at the root of your upbringing, sort of a real great firsthand experience, front row seat to, Whole Foods and, fresh fruits and vegetables and so on, and to see and playing outdoors and outside, and all of what sunshine in the ground and the earth, all that has and as a health benefit. So then, how did you go from there to become a health coach? What were you doing before, and how did that trail lead you to become a health coach?
So I became a dental hygienist. I was a dental hygienist for 24 years.
Wow.
And I love my patients, really love them, but I was always learning something. I was always going to school for something. And I kept on seeing all these medications coming up, and my patient didn't know much about it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never seen that so much, and none of my family take medicine. Um, then I, during the process of working as a hygienist, I also went to school and became get my bachelor in criminal justice. As I was doing that, I did my research on juvenile delinquency. Notice again correlation with food and people's behavior and the deficiencies that we might have with nutrition, how that affects our behavior, how that affects the medications we're on. And that triggered me to look further and see, hey, what's all this about? And I went and I studied at the Institute of Integrated Nutrition, got some information. I learned more. Then I started helping my patient.
Yeah.
Um, I had all these young patients that would come on and say, hey, I'm taking this med. So I said, what's your medical history? And they go through the list every time. They'll tell you, I'm taking this and that. I'm like, what for? Oh, because of this and this. And I'm feeling this, I'm feeling groggy, I'm feeling tired, and I'm gaining all this weight because of the medicine. And I started researching more, and I'm like, geez, if only they changed some stuff. And I
Yeah.
started actually helping my patient say, hey, try eating this. See, that helps. Try eating that. And I saw some result, and then I'm like, I just gotta take this to the next level. I want to help people.
Yeah.
I want to take it further.
Yeah. I love that, Emily. That is, and what a surprising thing, like getting a criminal justice degree. It's not normally what hygienists do. What inspired you to do that?
Well, I do have a lot of judges and lawyers in my family, and so I just figure I follow the family tradition of, studying law. It's always been my thing. But once I saw that, I said, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to
Yeah.
make a change in the world, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to right the wrong. And then I noticed that I could make a bigger change if I change people's diet. Forget about the law. If I could prevent them from even going into that cycle, it would be a bigger change than if I, stop them from going to jail for 5, 6 years.
Yeah, prevention, huge. I mean,
Prevention.
and isn't that it really I've got goosebumps because like you were meant to do that degree and the family that you're in and the environment that you're in with lawyers and judges and so on, that would be the natural like, hey, well, let me try this, And then but then with this upbringing with Whole Foods and seeing that then as a young kid seeing the compare and contrast. And then when you're reading studies and learning about the statistics of things, and then you're like, wait a minute. And then firsthand, as a hygienist, being able, it's almost like, having one-on-one sessions if most hygienists don't, but it's
Yes.
almost like having a quick one-on-one session with people, although they might not always be able to speak that much with their mouths
You'd be
open.
surprised.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, that's true, probably. And being able to like start to connect the dots, like, man, there are a lot of side effects. Man, people are a lot of medications when they're younger, and maybe we could do something about it, and maybe I can make a bigger difference in this particular way. It's so fascinating. I love your unique perspective. There's not a lot of people who will share that particular unique perspective. That's why I say for you, many layers of the onion. We've just scratched the surface of that, but we'll leave it there for a moment. So, with that, um, who is it that you just feel passionate about helping? Of course, you can help lots of people. You saw an array of people there, young, old, all sorts of different ailments. But who is it that who you feel passionate about helping and serving?
I help perimenopausal mom lose weight, ditch their brain fog, sleep like babies, and wake up feeling energized and confident. That's a
Oh,
reason why I feel like this is the place where I can make the most difference. If I start with the mom, the whole household changes. That's how I
aha.
can.
See that? So I love that you added that last bit in because yeah, there's lots of coaches that would be have perimenopause, and usually the rationale is because they went through these hormonal changes. And so now they learned it and they want to help others. But you've got another layer there as to why it wasn't really that. It's because if I want to help these juvenile delinquents, we got to get on ahead of it and we got to help the moms feed their kids better so that we can prevent the crimes, so that we can prevent all of that. Am
And
I hearing you correctly?
that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like if you could prevent the whole recidivism, the whole cycle of having a child go into the criminal justice system, why not? This is the best way with food.
Yeah.
This is where you're going to make the biggest change. You start with the mom, help the
Yeah.
husband, help the family, help the child.
So good. Talk about getting to the root. Talk about getting to the root of the root of the root.
Exactly.
I really love that. And on so many layers. Of course, the mom helps herself, but when you help that mom, you're really helping so many people. We'll talk in a minute about the different spin-off benefits that can happen from that are really life-changing and really profound. I think I'd heard you mention something about a statistic with regard to that. Like that sounds good. Like
Yes.
people better, and
Yeah.
then they'll be less likely to commit crime. For a lot of people out there, they're thinking that's a stretch. Like, yeah,
Yes.
hypothetical, sort of pie in the sky, loose correlation. Do you have
Well,
any sort of stories or stats to share about that?
well, well, during the perimenopausal stage, a woman loses estrogen. Estrogen has a receptor in every aspect of our body. It helps with, it's the best antioxidants we could have. Once we lose that, we lose a lot of brain activity, we get more brain fog, we're more prone to making poor choices, we're more prone to having divorce during this time. We
Hmm.
are also more prone to committing suicide. So if we have our hormones in balance because we're eating right,
Hmm.
we are more prone to making better decisions that will help our family and ultimately help us be a better person, also prevent Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
You know, the truth of the matter is that the antioxidant effect of the estrogens, when it goes low, also puts place a woman at a higher risk of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
1 in 4 people who have Alzheimer's are women.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Huge, huge ripple effect. And then I think, was there a study done about it in the prison themselves, so not prevention,
Yes.
but that they noticed, I can't recall exactly, but something about an improvement or something.
So there's a lot of altercations that happens in the prison. You know, you're dealing with people who already have criminal tendency, they have anger issues, they have, other type of problems. So they actually did a research, I think it was in Germany, where they gave them a basic bottom of the shelf kind of vitamins. So it's not even your best kind of vitamins, but just like a basic stuff. And they saw a reduction in altercation because people were able to tolerate stress a little better once you nourish your body and you reduce the internal stress that
Wow.
you get from the lack of nutrients.
That's fascinating. I mean, it makes sense. And on an extreme level, you think of certain substances. So imagine somebody with having a ton of alcohol, for example, and how that might affect someone's behavior and altercations, or a lot of caffeine and how that might affect someone, or a lot. 4-year-olds at a birthday party and a lot of sugar and how that might affect behavior and altercations at that level. But at
Yeah, you heard of this thing of hangry, right?
yeah, exactly,
Hangry.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, that's an
exactly.
insulin issue. That's not an angry. That's not a
Right.
food problem.
Yeah. And so then there's this, so that's like sort of at a macro level, but at the micro level, like at the vitamin and in different nutrients, it's also going to affect behavior. So it makes sense, but and it's probably one of the cheaper fixes. I mean, it's easy. It costs a lot less than security guards or whatever. It is a powerful idea that I think is being overlooked. Like I don't think people really focus on that. But we look at with our as health coaches the difference that in the lives of clients from improving their nutrition, improving their lifestyle. Why would we not want to do it for these people that we want to rehabilitate? We certainly don't want them to, reoffend. So why not, and yeah, very fascinating. I've not heard anyone sort of make that connection before. And again, it speaks to your unique background. What's your favorite part of coaching, of health coaching, of being a health coach?
Well, you know what? I love to see the changes in people's life.
Yeah.
That's what makes me drive. I see people. I had one client who went from, you know, she called me. She's having hot flashes. She's having all these uh, mental fog, and she's overweight, and she wants to lose weight. And she said, "Can you please help me?" And I said, "Of course." She says, "I'm also want to get a divorce." I'm like, "Please," I said, "Please don't make any real big changes in your decisions until we go through a whole holistic approach of helping you." I said,
Yes.
"Let's mediate the problems that you're having at hand, and let's focus on our nutrition. Let's focus on our little coping mechanism with stress. And that makes my world like whole change because I saw a difference. By the time we completed our time together, she didn't no longer wanted to get a divorce. The little things that trouble her no longer bother her. Oh, he left the spoon on top of the counter. That doesn't bother her anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, again, he did it again. And she was able to laugh things off rather than being angry about the fact that he left a spoon on top of the counter. That makes my heart warm because I figure, hey, I was instrumental in helping her make good choices.
Yeah, it's a great example of where you're focusing on one thing, weight loss, for example, hot flashes, but how it can actually save a marriage. So it's like one of those great example of those spin-off benefits, and it really adds again layers of rewarding and soul fulfillment of doing this kind of work. What would you say is something that you have learned? We teach our clients and they're learning and growing, but what have you learned from your work as a health coach?
I learned that they are also unique. Everybody needs something so specific that until you learn and to listen, you're not going to get the whole picture. Sometimes some people need some modifications.
Yeah,
Some people just need to have somebody to bounce their stress and help them with coping with stress mechanism.
yeah.
And some other people, they just need somebody to listen, to really listen and teach them how to listen to themselves.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. What would you say is something that, you're someone who helps perimenopausal women lose weight, get rid of their brain fog and their belly fat and sleep better. What would you say are some of the myths that so many women right now are struggling with perimenopause? It doesn't need to be struggles, but especially in our culture community, many people do. But what would you say is some of the myths that people have, that women have when it comes to that?
I think one of the biggest myths is that they think one diet fixes all.
Hmm.
They think I'm eating healthy and that's good enough. But when we're producing hormones, our hormones require a different environment. You
Yeah.
know, when estrogen is high, insulin has to be low in order for estrogen to be produced.
Hmm.
Then there's a phase where you have to get rid of that extra estrogen. So you have to have a totally different diet. Then
Yeah.
you have toward right before your cycle, progesterone is built.
Yeah.
During that time, insulin has to be high.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to build progesterone. So
Yeah.
if you keep that same healthy lifestyle all the time, consistently with the same diet, it just won't work.
Yeah.
It just won't work. It's good for one thing, but it's not good for the other. We're not like men. We
Hmm.
produce different hormones at different stages of our month.
Hmm.
Men, testosterone throughout the whole thing. You know, that's it. Just testosterone. They need one thing. They could go along with the diet. That's why men lose weight very quickly, and in women we don't,
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
we modify our life to different lifestyle depending on what time we are. You know that like as teenagers, when you're like, oh, I'm gonna get my period, I'm eating all the candy, all the sweets. Our body craves certain food to
Hmm.
produce different hormones.
Yeah.
And if we only listen to our body and stick to whole food and try to, instead of the, you know, sweets and so on, we have, the carbs, high carbs like lentils and something like that. That's going to give you the same fiber and same carb amount, but all whole food. You're
Yeah.
going to produce better estrogens. You're going to produce better hormones, and you're going to feel so much better.
Yeah, yeah. It makes a difference to sort of to be in alignment. And if
So
somebody who has a question or for Emily, pop it in the comments, and we will see if we can get that to her. If you have a question about any of that specifically, we'll let her know in a moment how you can reach out to her and ask her more in-depth questions. Emily, how have you grown as a person through this? It's a growth process. This health coaching thing is rewarding, but it's also a growth process, and it's a journey. It's a very rewarding career. I really feel like one of the most rewarding careers because it's really customized to the individual. How have you grown as a health coach?
well, I think I feel a little more centered.
Hmm.
I am no longer searching for the next thing to do, the next thing to learn. As you know, as I was saying, I was high jealous. When I went to criminal justice school, I also have a degree in the history and a good degree in science. Uh, I was always searching to complete myself.
Yeah.
I no longer need that. I feel like I'm complete. I'm okay. I'm okay. I feel like I've grown in my relationship to God. I feel so complete, so centered. I feel more passionate about helping others. I have more compassionate. I'm more compassionate toward those who are not in the right state of mind. I
Yeah.
allow for a lot of imperfection because none of us are perfect, but
Yeah.
sometimes we're so short with others and we're like, now it's like, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. And allows you to really see things kind of from a higher perspective, like an
Yes,
overview, not get tangled up in the weeds here, but you're like, I understand that people are going through some things. They're nutrient deficient. They're low on their
exactly.
vitamin. They've got a number of things going on that have led them to be like this. And so, not really getting, too caught up and reactionary. Yeah, I would say that is something that is a wonderful byproduct of becoming a health coach. Absolutely. And if you're listening to this and you are a health coach and you're like, I just wonder, how do I get my practice up and running? How would I do that? I'll put a copy of Free to Heal, the 9 steps to a soul satisfying signature practice. I'll put that down in the description notes so they can get a free copy. Emily, if you had to go back and talk to your former self, knowing what you know now, you've had this, right from the Dominican and, living outside and then all the way to being a hygienist in New York. And then all of the stuff and the things that you've learned and the practice that you had. If you had to go back and talk to your former self, any messages that you would want to share?
It's okay. It's okay. Life is good. It's okay. Like I said, I was always searching for more, and I felt like something was missing, so I kept on getting a different degree.
Yeah.
But I realized it's okay. I'm okay. I got this,
Yeah.
and it's all a rehearsal. It's all good.
Yeah, it's almost like you're complete as you are. So,
Yes.
like, as we're searching outside there, you already have it's like a Wizard of Oz thing, but you always had it within you the whole
Yes.
time, and that's the message, and that all good. It's all good. It's part of the journey. So we go through the inevitable ups and downs and waves that people face in life. So, um, you mentioned a story before about the person who was kind of contemplating divorce, and you're like, don't make any sudden moves. And I know one of our other health coaches as well, Connie, she talked about the same thing where she had a couple that they were going to divorce, and she kind of said something similar, like, well, yeah, okay, there's that, but let's just work on this. I'm not sure about that, but let's just work on your health and your weight and this and that. And as she came into balance as well, that divorce got averted as well. I do feel there's a good reason why a lot of divorces happen when women are perimenopausal. I think there's a raft of them right away, right after they get married, like a whoops, whoops, wrong answer, impulse buy, buyer's remorse, whatever, I think there's those ones. But then I see another raft of them kind of like 20 years later when the hormones are at an all-time high, and maybe it's just because now kids are getting out of school and like they're not staying together for that. But I really did see, and I do see, as I went through menopause, like things change. They call it the change, and things change, and like couples either grow together or grow apart, and there's a tendency to just blame the other person. And we can't control the other person, but we can always control ourselves. So I love that example of helping someone, with weight loss. And then crisis averted, things are, relationships improved, which is huge. Any other examples that you might have where you were focusing on, one thing, weight loss or menopause, but then there was like this other like surprise, wonderful gift that came out of it?
Oh, yes. I have this one client who, she was one of those people who was very timid. It's like, doesn't ask for anything. Just let me stay here, very small and not bother anybody, don't trouble anybody. So she went through a cycle of 7 years with no raise. So she didn't feel comfortable enough, even though she was performing the job. She's getting great reviews, but she didn't feel comfortable enough because she was so insecure with herself that she didn't feel comfortable enough to go in and ask for a raise.
Yeah.
So as she lost weight, she went through, uh, she lost 47 pounds in 3 months. I
Wow.
mean, literally, she took it to the next level because she was so timid. She followed every instruction. Everything I told her, she did. She was one of those like, okay,
Mhm.
okay. She didn't know how to say no or objection. There was no objection. Now she knows how to revolt, but now she knows to say, hey, this doesn't work for me. I'm like, okay, great. Now but she learned to be empowered. So now she not only did she went in and asked for a raise, but they even gave her, like 2 weeks later after they gave her a raise, they gave her a title because they saw that she had that leadership to be the one in charge, to be the head of that department and actually take it to the next level. So they gave her a raise and a new title that came along with the race. So she says, I am so proud of myself. And she says, it's because of you. I said, no, honey, it's because of you. You made these changes
Yeah.
because ultimately it's on them, you know?
Yeah.
But I saw her transform herself into a person who stands up for herself. She no longer do what people around her want her to do. She's actually very self-secure and self-assured, which is wonderful. She's being who she's supposed to be.
So powerful, so powerful, Emily. I love that story, and it when you have energy, when you feel you feel more confident in your body. When you lose the excess weight, you feel more confident. And then when you're coaching them, you're looking for, how can I serve? How can I help them? And having her find her voice. A lot of women don't have their voice. They take care of everyone else. They put
Yep.
themselves last. Um, and, and, really being able to say, hey, this is what I deserve. And you helped her like with that. So to get a raise, a title, and then another raise, how phenomenal. Like,
Right.
that paid for your services right there.
Yes, it did.
And so yeah, the work that we do is really when you do it right is really so powerful. And you are such a blessing to the women that you get to connect with. And how can people who are listening get in touch with you? How can they contact you?
I have, and my Instagram is Emily Marino, 605. And my website is rediscoverhealthroc.com.
Awesome. So at Instagram is at Emily Marino, and Marino is Marino 605. And then rediscoverhealthroc.com for her website. Thank you so much, Emily, for being here. There's so much to you. We'll have to have you back again because we'll talk more about some of those other things that are there. So, but that's enough layers for today, just to show how someone can really blend all of their unique experiences into really being a powerful health coach who can really make a powerful difference into the world. So thank you for shining your light and leading with love.
Thank you, Dr. Shaunna. Thank you for your help.
Awesome. And if you are looking to be a health coach and how can you get your healing gifts out into the world, I've got this video here on how to create a health coaching practice from scratch that I know you're going to love. And with that, we'll see you in the next episode. Be good for you.